And you all know the topic that we have for this debate that's conducted by Malayalam Kerala Cultural Association is whether the Irish government should repeal the 8th Amendment of the Constitution of Ireland and thereby giving the right for a girl the right whether she wants to abort or not her child. But I think that is to a big extent a very important decision that a person should make in their lifetime. And that is why this particular debate has become of so much importance and of so much consequence in Ireland today. And there'll be a lot of questions that people will have in their minds, and I believe that this debate will answer a lot of them.
This is a very important issue. It's really important that everybody votes, that everybody gets out on Friday. It's an issue, like all issues that we put to the people in Ireland, that is extremely important. So I am advocating a yes vote. I recognise that this is a very difficult topic. It's a very sensitive topic. It's one that almost every country in the world that legislates has had to legislate for. And the reason that countries legislate for this issue is because it is a reality that people face crisis pregnancies. So I would say to you that dealing with this issue in the Constitution in 1983 was a mistake, because the Constitution is no place to deal with this. I believe that we need proper legislation to deal with the issue. And I think that the reality is that at the moment we are relying on English legislators to set the framework for Irish women. Because in every country in the world where you do not have a legislative framework to deal with crisis pregnancies, what you have is backstreet abortion, illegal abortion. You have people putting their lives at risk. So you have to have a legislative framework to deal with this very, very tough issue that people face. Women are taking abortion pills in this country. They're unregulated, they're unsafe. We have to deal with this reality, while at the same time making sure that we work to reduce crisis pregnancy in this country. That's really important. So for all of those reasons, I would say that we should vote yes.
The evidence is that contraception sometimes fails. A patient of mine did all the things a woman is expected to do. She used contraception. Unfortunately, it failed. She then took the morning after pill, and that also failed. There is no medicine that is 100% successful. You will never eliminate in any society, in any century, the fact that some women sometimes will resort to having an abortion.
The state acknowledges the right to life of the unborn, and with due regard to the equal right to life of the mother, guarantees in its laws to respect and this is a key phrase, as far as practicable by its laws to defend and vindicate that right. If we remove this life-affirming amendment to our Constitution, we'll allow abortion up to 12 weeks with no restriction, no reason required, and up to 6 months on health grounds, including mental health, where it's effectively abortion on demand, up to 6 months of viability. In Ireland, the maternal safety rate is top class. The last set of figures were introduced, were published in 2017. These figures should offer reassurance about the high level of maternal care and the safety of Irish maternity services for women and babies. A maternal death rate of 6.5 per 100,000 is extremely low and compares with a rate of 8.8 per 100,000 in the UK and a rate of 26.7 per 100,000 in the US. There is nothing that the 8th Amendment says that prevents us giving full care to pregnant women. If a woman's life is in danger, a doctor not only can act, is required to act, and that danger does not need to be imminent. And in their letter they put it very strongly. Not one of our colleagues should ever be permitted to use the 8th Amendment as an excuse for not treating a woman. In England, for children diagnosed in the womb with Down syndrome, 9 out of 10 are aborted. I find that a frightening statistic. There are now early pregnancy tests that allow conditions like Down syndrome to be diagnosed before 12 weeks to 99% accuracy. The mental health grounds up to 6 months will be a grounds anyways for terminations on that basis. And do we really want to have a situation where 9 out of 10 young children in the womb who are diagnosed with having an extra chromosome end up being terminated?
My daughter became pregnant outside of marriage, but with my love and my support, she was able to keep her baby. Although at the time, all her friends, all her peers, many other people suggested that because she was due to start college, it would be the biggest mistake of her life to give birth to that baby. But she chose life, and as a result, I have the most beautiful granddaughter. In 1967, they legislated for abortion. They legalised abortion in Britain. In 1967, there were 27,000 abortions. 10 years later, in 1977, when I started my training, there were over 120,000 abortions that year. Last year, there were almost 200,000 abortions. In 50 years, in Britain, there have been over 8 million babies aborted. That's twice the population of Ireland wiped out. 97% of all abortions worldwide are carried out not for the hard cases, but for social and economic reasons. We should be offering women better life-affirming choices. Is that we terminate indiscriminately any baby up until 12 weeks, and we know that all that baby needs is the safety and security of its mother's womb. Now, there's not one person ever born that didn't need the safety and security of their mother's womb. People talk about bodily autonomy, but we don't talk about the baby's bodily autonomy. The baby is an individual. I am my mother's daughter, but I'm not my mother. I am a unique individual. Every unborn baby is a unique individual who is entitled to their right to their life. Women and babies deserve so much better. And these are the reasons that I'm voting no. And I urge you all to vote no on the 25th of May.
When a child is born with problems, right, it's the whole society that gets impacted, not only the child. Number one, the parents themselves go through a lot of emotional trauma because they never expected their child to be born with disabilities. Number two, it's an impact on the whole family because they all run around trying to do the best for a child which has disabilities. Their own siblings then feel they are left out because the child with the disabilities gets all the attention. And number four, you bring this child up with parents always having this at the back of their mind that if the child lives beyond their own life expectancy, who's going to take care of the child? Is it the community which has not allowed them to have this abortion? Or is it the siblings or the brothers and sisters? Sometimes they're left alone for them to just live there. So think about those circumstances, right? Some people would debate that in this modern living, it's the women who have this modern thinking and they don't want, it's not that they don't want to have a child, it's not that they don't want to have a family. It's a situation, it's a choice, and today I think all women or even men are intelligent enough and they make this decision about whether they want to have a baby or they want to have a family or not. And I think there are always reasons behind this. So not everyone can stand on the opposite side and decide and debate as to why that person is having an abortion. We are nobody to make a judgment. It's an individualistic choice. You leave that choice to the person, and that's when the more freedom you give a person, the more freedom there is for the person to choose and work in the right direction.
On Friday, we are not voting about bringing abortion into Ireland. We already have abortion in Ireland. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow, nature ends a huge percentage of pregnancies through miscarriage, and in medicine we call that a spontaneous abortion. If a woman takes an abortion pill, she is inducing or bringing on an abortion. And the experience that she has when she does this is exactly the same as the experience of a woman who has a spontaneous miscarriage. The Eighth Amendment, which is what we are voting about on Friday, has not stopped Irish abortions. Since 1983, the year when the Eighth Amendment was inserted into our Constitution, on more than 150,000 occasions, a woman has given an Irish home address to a clinic in the UK or in Holland when she is accessing an abortion. My oldest childhood friend, the closest thing I had to a sister. And when I was living in Southampton and working as a doctor, she was married and very, very happy to be pregnant. Well into her pregnancy, she received a diagnosis of a fatal fetal abnormality. And she came and she stayed with me in England in my house, and I made the arrangements for her with the doctors in the UK. So you'll never see her or many Irish women like her show up in the statistics. I have a colleague and friend who is a GP. Her name is Siobhan Donoghue. She also had a diagnosis called anencephaly, which means that for Siobhan, and she was really, really sad that this happened, she wanted her baby. There was no development above the level of the eyebrow. There was no brain, there was no bone, there was nothing to protect what was there. There was no chance that baby would ever live outside the womb. I have delivered babies who are suffering from anencephaly. So I have seen what I am talking about. Siobhan says it is not good enough to simply tell her that she's a hard case and that it's too bad and that she has to be exiled from this country to get healthcare because some people don't want the numbers of abortions here to be high. I would agree with her. That is not an adequate healthcare response to Siobhan. It is not adequate healthcare to tell a 12-year-old raped child that the only thing Ireland could do for her was put her on a plane and send her out of this country and out of our sight, which is what happened last year. We are not talking about ancient history here.
Abortion is already a reality in our country. Since 1983, over 150,000 Irish women have had abortions. The amendment has not prevented this. It has only made it expensive and difficult to access and less safe for our people. Women living in Ireland have to raise money and make travel arrangements when they need to end their pregnancies. This means they have their abortions later in their pregnancy than in any other countries. In many countries with legal abortions, with legal access to abortion rates remain as low as they are in Ireland. When divorce was legalised here, the scaremongers warned of a flood of marriage breakdowns. This has never happened. We shouldn't believe them now about the rates of increase in abortion. We need to repeal the Eighth so that women living in Ireland can have safer, earlier abortions at home.
As the doctor said, we're not being asked to vote on abortion. Over here, it's called the Kansas Shuffle. Everyone's directing your attention over here. Look, abortion, abortion, bad cases, abortion, abortion. What do we have to do? What is the price we have to pay to introduce it? Give up the right to life of every unborn Irish child. That's what we want in return. We'll give you abortion over here, keep looking at the hard cases, which make up maybe 1% of 100% of Irish cases. Keep looking over here, because what we're doing is we're doing the Kansas Shuffle. We're going to get you to concentrate on the hard cases. But the price you're going to pay for that is we're going to take the right to life of every unborn Irish child. You go into every maternity hospital here in Ireland and you look at every pregnant woman and you look her in the eye and you say, your child does not have the right to be born. Your child does not get the right to be born, to progress its lifeline, because there's 1 or 2% of Irish cases that need care. Abortion does not solve abusive parenting. Abortion does not solve poverty. Abortion does not solve the care that women in crisis need. Yes, there are hard cases. We need to deal with the hard cases. It doesn't end on the 26th. It does not end on the 26th. And every pro-life vote should be held to account and say, what have you got for me now? Now that no has been voted in, what have you got for me now? But it doesn't end on the 25th, folks. Support your women, console your women, love your women, but also love your babies. We can save both. Love your babies too, and love your women.
That is terminology in the debate. It is very scary. It is not only scary for women or the families, it is scary more for the children. And whenever I hear this debate, I see no one is concerned about, the what psychological impact we are creating on young children's mind. And I believe this subject is particularly for the women and children, and I think man has little role to play, although they have equal rights to vote. So I think they have to bring perspective, they have to do what they want to do, and men need to give actually this freedom to the women, what they want to do with their life.
I know recent 3 cases where the Down syndrome was missed, and they are all alive children now, putting a burden on those parents, emotional burden. There are limitations for the medicine. First of all, we demand rights, but we have to have certain duties as a parent also, to put the moral duties towards their children. The 13-year-old, 14-year-old are consenting and they are becoming pregnant. It means the parents have failed and the society has failed somewhere in imparting those values. Do you think it is right for those 14-year-old to get pregnant? Think from yourself. They themselves are children and they are producing a child. We are not talking by changing this legislation that we are not giving the rights to the unborn. Unborn has got their own rights. But when the question of the crisis comes, the rights, because you are denying some rights to the living one who are present.
Exact same argument when it comes to abortion. It's not an individual choice. It's the choice to end another human's life. Just like slavery was a choice to keep people in chains. A child with Down syndrome is an inconvenience and it's a burden. Like, how dare you say things like that? That is an outrageous comment. And the clear implication that it's better to actually kill the child because they have Down syndrome than be what they think is a burden. I mean, that's literally what the Nazis tried in 1930s Germany. Of course mental health is important for everybody. There's no voter would disagree with that. However, the fact is, 97% of abortions in the UK, 97% are on the grounds of mental health. It's the so-called C clause. So this pretends from the SI that, women will be accurately diagnosed for mental health issues. The actual reality in the UK is signs are pre-formed by a doctor, already signed. The middle box is ticked for the C option, which means my mental health is at risk. So voting yes will introduce the exact same abortion on 6 months that they have in the UK on so-called mental health grounds. And I say so-called because it's literally a box-ticking exercise.
I speak to about 60 pregnant women every day. And in 10 years, I haven't had one caller who said that I don't want this baby. What do I do? And I get calls from a woman the minute they do the pregnancy test and they ring me and they tell me and they are over the moon. But I do get some calls from women who are not very, and they tell me that, look, this is not the way I planned it, but it's okay, I'm okay with that now I'm pregnant. And they're scared of labor or whatever, so I do talk to them, reassure them. And I only remember one call that my colleague received in 10 years. Like, there are so many midwives, and only one call where this woman had was given a diagnosis of fatal abnormality, and how much stress that woman was going through, that we were literally getting calls from her every single day. And we were in touch with this woman on the day she got onto the plane, on the day she was getting the abortion done in UK, on the day she came back, and afterwards. We felt her pain. We felt her pain. Being a midwife, we felt we are so helpless. We can't be there. We can't help her in any other best way. Why can't she get this done here on this land?
I don't feel that the state has the right to force a woman to complete a pregnancy against her wishes. After she has been offered help, after she has been offered counselling, after she has been offered all the support in the world, in every country, in every age, some women will say, thank you for your offer, but in my life, for my family, in my circumstances, I cannot or I will not do this. Once a woman makes that decision, our choices are either safer, legal, earlier abortion, or unsafer, later, illegal abortion.
To tell our young ones that if you are in a crisis, don't take your life, because you're using a permanent solution for a temporary problem. That's what we are telling our young ones, because they're committing suicide. And we are saying that that is not a good choice for you. We are telling them, they said, I think I'll come to the end of my world. Everything is not going well for me. I don't have anything to live for. And we tell them that, no, you have to stay alive, because we can do better for you. So what sort of message are we giving these young ones? If we let our young women, when they're pregnant and they're in a crisis, we tell them that, yeah, you can kill, you can take a life. What messages are we giving our young ones? What if the young one, the teenager, turns back and tells you that, well, you, mom, when you were pregnant, you were in a crisis, and you thought you couldn't handle it, and you killed my baby brother. Why should I live when I'm in this crisis? Right? This is a subliminal messages we are giving our young adults. Because if we do this, if we don't deal with crisis, and we tell people that, okay, for every crisis, just kill somebody. For every crisis, kill yourself. For every crisis, this, then the society will be a mess.
നമുക്ക് കാണാം, കേൾക്കാം, ചിരിക്കാം, സംസാരിക്കാം, യാത്ര ചെയ്യാം, ആലോചിക്കാം, ചിന്തിക്കാം, എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. ഈ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആളുകൾ കൂടിച്ചേർന്നിട്ട് ജീവിതത്തെ കാണാത്ത, ശ്വസിക്കാൻ കഴിയാത്ത, കാണാത്ത, ഉള്ളിൽ കിടക്കുന്ന, ശ്വാസം കഴിക്കാൻ വയ്യാത്ത, ജനിക്കാത്ത ആ കുട്ടികളുടെ ഭാവിയെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് അവർ ജീവിക്കണോ വേണ്ടതയോ എന്നതിനെ കുറിച്ച് നമ്മൾ കൂലങ്കഷമായി ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്നു. 25-ാം തീയതിയിലേക്ക് ഒരു വോട്ടെടുപ്പ് നടക്കുന്നു. ജനിക്കാത്ത കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളെ, അവരുടെ ഭാവി, അവർക്ക് ജനിക്കാനുള്ള അവകാശത്തെ ഹനിക്കുന്ന ഒന്നാണ് ഈ നിയമം യെസിലൂടെ രേഖപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത്. ഒരു 3 മിനിറ്റ് മാത്രം ജീവിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കുട്ടിക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഒരു ആളെ എത്ര ദിവസം പെയിൻ എടുക്കണമെന്നൊക്കെ ചോദിച്ചത് അതൊക്കെ ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ട കേസുകളാണ്. അതിനെന്ത് മറുപടി, അതിനെന്ത് സൊല്യൂഷൻ എന്ന് ആലോചിക്കുന്നത് നല്ലതാണ്. ഒറ്റപ്പെട്ട കേസുകൾക്ക് ഒഴിവാക്കാൻ പറ്റാത്ത സാഹചര്യങ്ങളിൽ വളരെയധികം പാനിക്കായ, അസുഖമായ, ലൈഫിനെ ബാധിക്കുന്ന ചില കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ അനുവദിക്കുന്നതും അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ചിന്തിക്കാം. ഇങ്ങനെ നിയമം മൂലം ആർക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിലും എപ്പോൾ വേണമെങ്കിലും അബോർഷനെ സ്വീകരിക്കാനുള്ള നിയമത്തിലൂടെ പാസ്സാക്കിയെടുക്കുന്നതിൽ അനുകൂലിക്കുന്നില്ല. ഞാൻ പൂർണ്ണമായും അതിനെ എതിർക്കുന്നു എന്നറിയിക്കും.
It is 1% or 2%, or it is a standalone case. But we are now living in a modern, democratic, egalitarian society. In such a society, the state cannot ignore that 1%, or state cannot take a decision on the basis of the 99% is on the other side. If someone have a crisis pregnancy or that endanger the woman's life, the state has a duty of care to address that. That's what I'm opposition. And the other one is that to think that if you pass this referendum, most of the women will go and do the abortion. That is a bit of patriarchal and patronizing to the woman.
In Ireland, at the moment, if a woman's life is in danger, they will remove the baby. That is how it works. So this is nothing. The 8th Amendment will never cause a woman to die in Ireland. I was sick myself.
That was the chair of the investigation committee said.
So
nobody said. I have the report here.
So he didn't say that. So in Ireland at the moment, Salvita's death was caused by malpractice, by the doctors not looking after her correctly. In 2013, I was pregnant and I got very sick myself. And I was in hospital and the doctor said to me I could die. And they said to me, in Ireland, they will remove my son and they will have a team from Holland Street to make sure that he is kept alive. If that was the UK, the standard of care would have been abortion and his life would have been gone. He's now 4 and he's absolutely perfect. He would have been dead if there was the 8th Amendment wasn't there, because they protect both lives. I'm fine and he's fine. And if I was told, because I didn't know much about this topic like most people, you wouldn't be researching it. If the doctors had told me in that situation, your life is under threat, you need to have an abortion, I probably would have done that because I would not have known any better.